Hey guys, Pandit here. Today I'm going to be doing just a quick Prot Warrior guide. I was actually asked to make this a couple weeks ago and I kind of forgot, so I apologize about that. I'm going to try not to make this as long as my other ones. I'll probably just mainly do like my talents and stuff like that and not worry about my rotation and stuff. I might do that in a different video. I don't know. So I'm just going to try to make this as quick as possible for me, but I generally like to talk a lot, for one, and two, I like to talk in detail, so hopefully you can understand why things are the way they are. Try to explain things from my point of view and things like that. So real quick, I'm just going to fix my helm because it's kind of bugging me seeing that being all needing to be repaired and shite. First, I'm going to start off with my normal talents. I do want to say for my honor talents, I am not fully leveled out in my honored talent tree. Thus, I don't have a lot. I don't have the last 4 talents. So your whole rotation or playstyle can vary based on, honestly, at least 2 of these. Because right now, I'm running off of 3 spells, attack-wise. Thunderclap, Shield Slam, and Revenge. With these last 2, that would give you basically 2 other attacks you could use. So yeah, people's rotations can vary. So for my talents, the first one, honestly, you can just vary. It just depends on how you want to play. I like Warbringer due to the fact that it deals damage as well as stuns them. So I don't have to worry about these 2, especially because I have 2 charges of Intercept. So it gives me 2 stuns instead of the 1. Yes, it's only a 2.5 second stun, but I can use it more often as a CC. So instead of using it as a stun to try to keep somebody still for a long period of time, I can use it to, say, interrupt a cast. Like it's just an extra like interrupt for me. But as like Fury, I try to run Stormbolt depending on the situation. Depends on if I have somebody else to CC or if I need to be the one CCing. But honestly, I think that this section of talent is honestly just whatever you prefer. The second one is more or less a survival style one, I guess. You have Impending Victory, which is obviously I am running, and that's because it's basically your only heal. Like, yeah, without it you just have Victory Rush, but in order to get Victory Rush you have to kill stuff. And it's like, yeah, you could hope to go against somebody with a pet, that way you could kill the pet and get a Victory Rush off. Or you could just pick this talent and use it whenever the hell you want to, on top of Killing Blows resetting its cooldown. Which I have my Impending Victory blended in with other things like Last Stand, so it increases my healing done total. So it's just, I'll get low, pop the 1 button, and all the way back up. Or more or less. Inspiring Presence I thought was going to be cool, but it's honestly more of a PvE style talent due to the fact that it'll heal others, but it doesn't heal you. Now, I thought it healed you, including everybody else, when it was new, and I was kind of bummed out when I found out it doesn't heal you. Just because of the fact that, like, druids have a thing that heals basically them or whoever's around them, whoever's lowest. So why can't warriors have it? Huh? No! But I guess you're not in the presence of yourself, so you're not going to inspire yourself. I don't know. And then Safeguard is just basically just like, I would probably run that if I were to really care about running a healer and try to, like, that's more if you want to run more defensive. That way you can, which I probably should run when it comes to band with like Possum, and he's always the target. But Possum decided to go to Horde, so yeah, probably won't be doing arenas with his Warlock anytime soon. The next, I don't even remember half of these talents because I haven't gone through these talents in a very long time. I basically selected them a long time ago and left them that way. So things have probably changed. I might not even be running the better of the talent choices. I have no idea. I know somebody brought one of the talents up to me and I said I was gonna try it. And it dealt with I think it was Renewed Fury. It dealt with Ignore Pain and something else. I don't remember. I'm sure I'll walk by. But alright, so Ignore Pain also enrages you, increases your damage done for 10 seconds. That's honestly not that bad. Sorry for smacking the mic. That's not a bad talent if you use Ignore Pain throughout your rotation. As some people have noticed, I do not use it nearly as much as I used to use Shield Barrier, and it's kind of a downfall at times, but at the same time I also only use it, one, if I feel like it's a 1v1 situation and I need to use it a lot to keep myself up. Like if I don't think I have it in the bag, like if I go up to like a mage, I'm gonna probably not use it because I'll be like, anytime I touch you, I'm gonna take chunks out of your health, bro. So you like, unless you're kiting me, I'm not gonna use this. But if I'm going against like a melee pally or something like that, then I'll probably try to use it more than I normally would. But that would just help increase your damage while you did your rotation, so you'd have more or less a constant 10% increased damage. I am kind of spec'd for the burst as well, as usual. That's kind of the way I've always played them. Revenge deals 5% more damage per target hit, up to 5. Yeah, I've never really understood or tested this talent, but I imagine this would be better in 3v3 arenas, or shit, 5v5 arenas. I've never really tried it. I think I grabbed it once and tried to use it on some target dummies, but I don't know. It just didn't really appeal to me. And thus, my talent is Avatar. Increases damage by 20%. Obviously, like I just said, I'm more of a bursty style person. I like to rely on my burst to do the damage rather than just a constant throughout the fight. Next talent, I think this is kind of just your play style, as well as like kind of you'd rather do PvE, because obviously Crackling Thunder is just an increasing of radius for Thunderclap, which I guess could be useful if you like running Thunderstruck, due to the fact that it roots all targets for 1 second, so it can help prevent people from running away from you as easily. But it's kind of like I said, it just depends on your play style. If you wanted to see a guide by me with how I play for whatever reason, but you run different talents than me and you like those talents and you don't really want to get rid of them, just keep them. Honestly, like, just it's all about playing your style and having fun. Like I only do these guides more or less just to show you how I do it. I don't expect anybody to copy me freaking talent by talent, spell by spell. Like, it's just the way I've come to play. This one I honestly changed out with the latest patch. I think it was 7.1.5 when actually Devastator even became a thing. And that is, now instead of having Devastate as an attack that dealt, I think, 90,000 damage, it increases my auto attacks to do an additional 90,000 damage. So instead of having a like auto attacks that blink, 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 and then have to worry about Devastate, which would do 90, say I do 40,000 auto attack, and then I would have a 90 attack. This just puts both of them in one. Makes life a lot easier. And then it also has a 30% chance on my auto attack to reset the remaining cooldown on Shield Slam. I think I actually read somewhere on a site around the same time that my Revenge has a chance to reset it too. Maybe that's a passive ability. I'm not 100% sure. It was a while ago, so I honestly don't even remember how correct that actually is. But yeah, so that's why I run that. I used to run Indomitable, and that was mainly just for the increased health, so I could have, and the maximum effect of Ignore Pain, so I could have a better bubble and I could heal myself for more, and obviously to have more health. Never Surrender, Ignore Pain will ignore up to 100% more damage based on your missing health, so I believe that is, if you're getting the lower on health you are, the more your Ignore Pain will be, which could be extremely useful. I personally have never tried it. Honestly, this expansion, I didn't go through and try a whole bunch of the talents like I usually did, where I would go from one talent and try to see exactly which one was the best. I kind of just read them and was like, I think I'm just going to go with this one. And then these ones kind of worked out for me, so I just kind of stuck with them. I was kind of just basic this expansion. Ever since they took away Glad Stance, I've been kind of bummed. And you could argue that Glad Stance can still kind of be a thing, but no matter how much you do it, it doesn't feel the same. This is basically one of the main things that made Glad Stance, but it still just doesn't feel the same, truthfully. Rip Glad Stance. The next one would be, I choose Booming Voice, and that is only, again, for my burst, because part of my burst macro is Demoralizing Shout, so I do 25% increased damage to affected targets. So on top of me boosting myself up 20%, now whoever's affected by that's going to take an increased 25%. That's like 45% increased damage on people just off of those two things alone. So yeah, that's why I picked that one. And that one honestly goes well with Morale Killer, which is reduces the cooldown of Demoralizing Shout by 30%, and the Shout now reduces the damage the enemies deal to all targets instead of just you, which is kind of useful to help your teammates not die as easily. But at the same time, Leave No Man Behind has saved Possum's butt in a lot of videos, thus why I started learning to intercept him a lot. Into the Fray is just, to me, that seems more of a PvE style thing, just because of the haste and up to 5 enemies. Like, you could use that in arenas, 3v3 or 5s too. I think 5s are still a thing, aren't they? I don't know. I have no, 5s are no longer a thing, or do you have to do pre-made maybe? I don't know. I never actually paid attention to that. Oh shit. But I just, to me, that's more of a PvE thing. Ignore Pain. Oh, this was the one that somebody had brought up to me, and honestly I think would be kind of a very viable option to use. I thought about going back and trying it, but I haven't yet because I've the last couple weeks, honestly, the main reason why I haven't been able to put out videos is I've been dealing with a lot of depression, and it's just I've just had no urge to get online. But anyways, it's not about that. So Ignore Pain reduces the rage cost of your next revenge by 35%, and revenge reduces your next Ignore Pain. So it's a very, that is honestly one of the coolest sounding spells, just for the fact that it sounds like something that helps a rotation, because that makes you use Ignore Pain. I think the one time I actually tried to use this was back when this expansion first dropped, and I never used Ignore Pain. When this first dropped, I never did. To me, it didn't feel the same as Shield Barrier, and I could not get used to using it. It felt like a waste of rage to even attempt to use. So I kind of used this and then stopped. Now I actually kind of use it. I use Ignore Pain more, so now it would be more viable, but... And then the last one, obviously, just to make myself feel more glad stancy, Shield Slam extends the duration of Shield Block by 1%, and Shield Block increases the damage of your Shield Slam by an additional 30. Thus, the other section of Glad Stance. So obviously I'm going to pick that just to, try to hold on to what little Glad Stance is still here. Ravager obviously feels more PvE, and because this is the basic talent, so it goes for both PvE and PvP. And then Anger Management, every 10 seconds you get reduced cooldowns on things. Or every 10 rage you use, you get reduced cooldowns on things. Which I've seen like people like Swifty use a lot. So it's that one's kind of just if you want to prefer more, if you want to play more conservatively and like long fight, or it's just like I said, it's one of those talents where it's just all about preference. My PvP talents, like I said, I do not have everything unlocked. These are if anything, these are the talents that I've gone through and kind of tried more or less, messed around with. I'm not even going to bother with the top one because it varies. Like, honestly, those don't deal with me. They're all the same no matter who you are, so it's pointless to go through. I go with Relentless Assault, and that is basically just for the damage increase, which is useful, but like it can be great for a burst, but a lot of times I burst right off the bat, so I don't even have time for this stuff to occur because you have to be attacked for it to happen, and half the time Possum's the target, so it's like I don't get attacked, so it's kind of just a thing that's there. Oppressor is something that I thought was interesting because it basically brings a PvE attack spell thing and makes it PvP, which I honestly think that was pretty cool of them to do. And that basically, instead of it causing the target to taunt you, obviously you'd be in PvP, it doesn't work that way. You can't taunt and just take target. Basically gives you an increased damage on that target. The only difference between the two is this is 3% stack, it lasts for 5 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. That's 15% increased damage. This one can stack up a lot more than that, but in a 2v2 arena, it only goes up to 10%. Because it says each unique player that attacks increases the damage taken by an additional 5%. Because it can stack up to 25 instead of just the 15. But if there's only 2 of us in there, it's only going to go up to 10%, whereas Relentless Assault gives me 15 by myself. And all it has to do is require me to be attacked. I don't have to rely on other people doing stuff. And then Soften Blows is just more of a, obviously, protection, defensive, I don't want to get hit as hard kind of spell. These two, I do like running Mass Spell Reflection, but it just, to me, I can't let Sword and Board go. And that's basically because Shield Slam deals 20% more damage while Shield Block is active, so that blends with that. And so there's your 50% increased damage for Shield Slam. So yeah, I can't, it's hard to pick that over that. It just, I can't do it. Basically ever since I've unlocked that, I've had pretty much had to stick with it. Bodyguard is I don't know, truthfully. I've never got it. But it's a protect an ally, so obviously it's more of a protection, defensive kind of spell. So I probably wouldn't use it. Probably. Rage Machine, non-periodic attacks against you generate 5 rage, which can be pretty useful unless you're fighting, depending on, like, if you're going against 2 locks, obviously that probably wouldn't be as useful unless they were like demo, because then a lot of that's kind of just base attacks and nothing's really periodic. But it can be useful, especially to help you get those ignore pains out. And, you know, basic, like, revenge, since it requires rage now. I switch between the two depending on if there's I try to, sometimes I forget, depending on if there is a melee person that I can disarm. Because disarming mages doesn't do shit. Which is kind of common sense, but it doesn't specify, because it just says disarmed creatures deal significantly reduced damage. Which, when you think about it, if I take your weapon away, you lose all the bonuses you get from that weapon, whether you're ranged or not. So you should do a little bit less damage, but it does not seem to work for casters. So yeah, if I'm going against like a caster and a healer, obviously I'm going to bail on that and just go for the Rage Machine, just to hope maybe I'll get some extra rage, but obviously you're not really going to notice it. Ready for battle, rage gain from intercept increased by 15%. Honestly, I don't know if I'll ever use that. I'll probably stick with disarm. But when I do unlock that, if I go against a comp that doesn't have disarm, I'll probably go with ready for battle over Rage Machine. I already said I go between these two, Morale Killer and Leave No Man Behind. I think it's more or less just who my teammates are, if I have to worry about them dying quickly. But I really want Shield Bash for the extra damage. I feel when I get these two, I can probably get close to a one-shot, not necessarily a one-shot like one attack dead, just a one-shot burst. Like, you're gonna be dead by the time my burst is halfway over. Like, I'm gonna pop my burst, do one of every spell, and you'll be dead, kind of thing. Plus, I'll be excited to have more than another attack other than just the 3. I mean, it's rough only having these 3, but there's other things I can do. Obviously, defensive, just random other attacks, or random other abilities. But yeah, so I really can't wait for Shield Bash. My problem is I really only do arenas. I very rarely do BGs, so leveling up is kind of rough. In the final one, I do not use Warpath due to the fact that I rarely use Heroic Leap, and I feel like this would just make me want to use Heroic Leap to stun people when my charge already does that. And honestly, I just feel like that I would end up wasting my Heroic Leap on just trying to, like, go 3 feet just specifically to stun the person, maybe for an interrupt, rather than using it to either get away or keep up with somebody running for their life. I like Thunderstruck for the fact that it roots people, again, preventing them from running. Since Glad Stance isn't a thing anymore and you don't have the same amount of mobility as you did, I have to take away their mobility, and this is how I do it. Now, don't get me wrong, when I get Dragon Charge, I'm pretty positive I'm going to be picking that over Thunderstruck, but for the time being, that is a very important spell to me, is having Thunderstruck. This is going to be a long guide, apparently. I mean, I'm still talking. My burst. Alright. My burst is literally just cast charge, cast avatar, use a potion that honestly doesn't do anything anymore because Glad Stance is not a thing. Battle Cry for the 100% chance to crit, and Demoralizing Shout for the 25% increased damage on affected targets. And then my heal macro, basically, when my oh shit macro, is Last Stand and Impending Victory. And then when I usually was with Possum, I started using her Health Stone as well because my health would be boost, thus increasing the heal from the Health Stone as well. But honestly, other than that, I don't think I'm running any other macros. I think I only have my burst macro and my oh shit macro. Everything else is just what you see. Like, and then the most useless artifact weapon goes to so I guess I could go over a rotation really fast. Alright, I'm just going to Stormwind's target dummies just for the sake of them not fighting back, and like the ones in the warrior place and they hurt and I don't want to die because that would just be embarrassing. With my rotation, it's honestly just I make it up as I go. It goes along the same path as you would assume. To my knowledge, you would assume. But basically, I can burst off the get-go like I normally would, like I generally always have. But it just depends on the class and how I feel like their playstyle is going to be. If they seem like they know what they're doing or not. If I want them to pop something like Mage, if I want them to pop an Ice Block, or a Pally to try to pop his bubble. Some Pallies are hard-headed and won't pop their bubble, and they'll wait till they'll run that talent that saves them at the last second. So they'll waste everything else beforehand. Those are always annoying. But if I want to waste something, sometimes I'll just say screw it and burst right off the bat. But if I'm going against like a Warlock and I know like the arena door just opened, I can burst him down and hopefully catch him off guard. But there's a good chance he's going to do his unending resolve and decrease all damage he takes, thus kind of screwing up my burst. So there'll be times, like you'll see in some videos against Warlocks, a perfect example, where I'll see them with that purple shield on themselves because the possum will make them pop it first. So I'll sit there and attack them, and then I'll wait till it ends or gets close to ending before I actually burst. That way they actually take damage and can't do anything about it. Or I'll try to like force a mage's block, or some like mages. I guess a good thing to say about mages is don't expect to try to get on them without using a charge or leap, because that way you have a way to get to them when they blink. So if I'm able to run up or leap onto a mage and they blink away from me, I can then charge them and they can't do anything to get away unless they're an arcane mage, but generally you don't see a lot of those. And then you could burst him down, and then he would have to ice block. Or just because of the fact that you got him after his blink, he might be one of those idiots that just ice blocks anyways. Thus, the minute his block ends, he'll blink away, you get on him again, and then you burst him. He's going to eat your entire burst with no hope. He'll try to kite, obviously, but he's going to take a lot of damage, and it's your best time to kill him. So it's all very situational, and I think I always say that. But it's the truth. It always changes. But say for this, I'm just going to go in and probably burst off the bat. I'm going to charge in this one right here is my burst macro. I'm going to hit that, which obviously causes Avatar, demoralizing shout on my target, so he'll increase damage, and battle cry, so I will crit everything in charge just in case they happen to get away. Even though it's intercept, I don't even know if that'll actually work because it's titled charge. That might not even work. I don't even know. I've never thought about that. I've never paid attention to my macros because it's been working. But but the first thing I do before I actually go in there, or sometimes I'll wait till I have enough rage to get shield block up, because obviously shield block is what increases my damage, and I think it actually adds it up for me right now. I thought it was 50%, but apparently it says 60%. Increases shield slam damage by 60% while active. I don't know if that stacks, if that's because of my other talents that I've chosen to increase the damage of my shield slam, or if that's its own thing and then it adds, because that would be a OP, because that's 60% and then it would add another 50%. That's a lot of increased damage. Excuse me. That's a lot of increased damage. But you definitely want to have that active before your burst, or at least before you start wasting things like shield slam in your burst, because if you pop your burst, shield slam, and then pop that, it defeats the whole purpose of running those talents to increase the damage. But honestly, you just a lot of times you'll see me start off with Thunder Stomp, Thunder Clap, my bad. Nailed it. Great Warrior. I've been doing this forever, I swear. And that's just to slow them and to root them. Obviously, this is a boss dummy. He doesn't get affected, but they get 50% increased or reduced damage for 10 seconds, which helps obviously stay on them. And they get rooted because of your PvP talent. There'll be one thing you can do is just run up in here, slow them down, slap them with a shield slam. You can hit them with a revenge if you want to. Then pop shield wall, pop your burst, bam, and now you're doing damage. Obviously, I'm going to do a little bit more damage because I'm attacking a dummy. You want to make sure you get your secondary shield wall, or shield block. I keep saying shield wall. You want to make sure you keep using that throughout your burst. You don't want to just pop it once and then just let your burst run out. You want to take full advantage of it. So every time you get it off cooldown, pop that so your shield slams do increase damage by at least 60%. And then whenever your burst ends and you notice you shrink back down to normal size, you don't have to worry about using it as much. You can continuously use it. I think I generally use it throughout the entire fight just to have that constant shield slam buff. But you can always stop at any time to use it more as a defensive spell because obviously it blocks every melee attack against you for 6 seconds. So it's pretty useful when it comes to things like, you know, surviving against melees. It doesn't feel like it's as effective as it used to be. I swear, back in the day, even with shield block, or glad stance, when you use shield block, it would... you would have like a rogue on you or something like that, and you'd be fighting them face to face. You wouldn't let them behind you. You'd pop that, and it would be like an evasion. You just wouldn't feel anything. I swear, nowadays you can pop that, and you will still feel a lot of things. I don't feel like it works. But honestly, I think that's pretty much it. That's my talents, my PvP talents, my 2 macros, because you know. And my more or less rotation. I have rotation, like I said, it's all situational, so I don't know. This was definitely a last minute video, just because I totally forgot somebody had asked me to make this video. I could always do one for Fury. Yeah, I could always do one for Fury as well, because it's pretty simple, as well as Fire Mage, even though all of you know that I'm not very, you know, seasoned in Fire Mage. I used to play it all the time before I even touched Warriors, and then I stopped playing with him and WOD because they got destroyed. They got bad. But starting to play them again, I have had a lot of fun with it, and I have a general idea of how to get a lot of damage out in a quick period of time, so I could always do a mage style idea guide, because I'm sure there's plenty of mages that know what the hell they're doing and are clearly better than me. But obviously with Fury and my mage, neither one of them are fully honored, talented out, so they're all gonna have limited guides. So yeah, but alright, this has been long enough. So I apologize for the lack of videos recently, the whole depression thing, yeah. So I apologize about that. My birthday was this weekend as well, so I had that going for me. Thus, I've been tired a lot the last 2 days, like holy crap. Like I was asleep on my floor with my headphones on listening to YouTube videos earlier for a good 20 minutes. Like I was sitting in my chair, started to fall asleep, said screw this, with my headphones on, just laid on the floor, passed out. I've just had no energy. And since Possum bailed the Horde, it's kind of hard for me to do arenas, and I was thinking about streaming, but I just don't feel like I have the right energy for a good mood, like a live mood to live stream. But I was thinking about doing a live stream for BGs. That way it'll make doing BGs easier, more entertaining, because I'll be able to hang out with you guys, and doing BGs will help me level up in PvP. But yeah, so I apologize about the lack of videos. And yeah, I'm sure this guide was, you know, 100% flawless and the greatest thing that you've ever watched and all that good stuff. But I hope this helped you out if you were curious about anything. Yeah, my brain just locked up. I got nothing. But yeah, so I hope this guide, more or less, this warrior talk helped you if you had any questions or anything about warriors, at least Protection Warrior. If you have any questions, just go ahead and you can ask me down below. I will do my best to reply quick. I will always reply, but sometimes it'll take up to a week because, you know, I'm a terrible person. So if this helped you out, cool, awesome. I'm glad it did. If it did, let me know down below. If you have any questions, obviously let me know down below. If you think this was the worst guide and have no helpful criticism, then I truthfully don't care, and you can comment all you want, and it truthfully will have no effect on me whatsoever. So yeah, you can have fun with that. But yeah, so I hope this guide helped you guys out, or just answered any questions you may have had. I know it wasn't the greatest. I've always sucked at doing guides. Like I said, I always want to make them short, and then I end up talking for the longest time because I want to make sure I do my best to speak in a way that you understand where I'm coming from and why I do the things I do, or why I set up the way I set things up. But also, like I said, this was a very last minute video, so I know it's definitely not the greatest because I was not prepared for it at all. But considering I'm still wearing a cape because I transmogged out of my Fury Molten gear. So this is definitely last minute. But anyways, I hope this video helped you guys out. I hope you guys enjoyed. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys next one. Peace.